For EDG, I'm just going to give to the bottom lane at a whole. I'm never going to throw away the chance to praise meiko. This guy has been a phenomenal support. Possibly I'm going to say the second best in the LPL in terms of rankings. I think Mata has him on some experience and some crazy plays, but meiko has certainly solidified himself as a great.
Yeah, most definitely. And look, has such a flexible style as well. It's almost like any pick that he grabs, he's as impressive as the next. Yep. So, really great to see him on the Braum, of course. Ash needs an honorable mention. Deft was just playing stunningly in that game. The first few arrows, the important ones, were so brilliant. Let's have a listen to EDG in this team fight. Oh, okay.
That's how I communicate in comms.
We can take back every single bad thing we said about Mouse. That was beautiful. The guy was just giggling the whole time during the team fight. Stunning. That's what you need to do on Maokai. He's playing Maokai as well. I mean, this is an April Fool's skin. The guy needs to be having fun, and certainly was in that team fight. EDG looking in very high spirits.
Oh yeah, and that's really important. I mean, they played the game very cleanly. A lot of respect given to Snake. They didn't try to force anything that they didn't 100% think they had control of. Obviously, they could have ramped the game pace just a little bit, but it would have been kind of risk versus reward. So I like that EDG are playing very clean. I like that it's kind of returned to basics for them. Historically and notoriously, this team actually has quite an issue in adjusting to new patches. But it was almost like the patch shifted into EDG. They've always had the highest dragon control in the LPL of any team, and so it's just kind of the benefactor that dragons are so important right now.
Yeah, and I like that it sort of moves back to like this dragon-focused meta right after EDG had sort of changed up their playstyle to move away from that dragon in the last couple of weeks in the playoffs of the last split of the LPL.
So kind of a curious question then is on the other side of that, you have the Rift Herald with the new buff, Glimpse of the Void. They have a new top laner, Mouse, as opposed to Koro. Mouse formerly a support for the team, now going up into the top side. Does that mean that EDG will never utilize the Rift Herald as effectively as other teams simply because Mouse hasn't really identified him as a hard carry style of top laner? He more seems a role player. Yeah,
it's actually really interesting because they did take a Rift Herald in that last game. Went to clearlove though. So he's the one that sort of wants to be lurking and trying to pick up these solo kills if he is ever discovered in the jungle. So I like that sort of adaptation if clearlove is going to be playing these sort of carry-orientated junglers like his Kindred, which has looked so impressive over the times that they've played it. And I'm looking at game number 2 here, thinking that we're not going to see Kindred again, and what does EDG now do when they're going to have to make a different decision?
I think they get Rek'Sai. We've seen some priority blue picks on the Rek'Sai, but I think there's too many picks that Snake need, that their success hinges on, really. So I have a feeling that clearlove's going to get his hands on it.
Well, we'll see exactly what does happen as we are in the champion select. Kindred and Maokai have been banned away as Snake take up the blue side of the Rift, and EDG getting rid of Lissandra once again, but Nidalee going to be taken away as well. So we are going to see the different champion pool in the jungle, as both of those S-tier junglers with all of that clear speed, all of that damage are going to be taken away. And Trundle is going to be an answering ban here as well. So Flandre wanting to step away from those sort of standard tanks towards the top side.
Obviously, Trundle in a very good position since the QSS changes. And that's what we were talking about. The priority for Snake is not on their jungler pool. It's on their solar laners, typically tank or Flandre, which means that Rek'Sai, second rotation and red pick.
Going to make a lot of sense as EDG looking to clean up pretty much what Snake decided to grab for themselves second round in game number 1 as Deft, look at him, looking very smug there, saying, all right, I got my Lucian. I'm feeling very good for this game.
Finally gets his hands on it.
Damn right. clearlove on the lady in the jungle. 100% win rate so far this split on Rek'Sai for clearlove.
For
all
clearlove.
of one game.
I think she's only lost one game.
She hasn't lost all that much.
When Snake played her.
Well, that'd be game number 2 potentially there as well, as you're exactly right. There is one game on Rek'Sai that ZZR was unable to win. They played it twice in their first series against GT. ZZR's Elise has slipped through the list though, as Karma's being considered as well.
So now
as Ella is actually back in.
the question comes is, what does Elise really mean for ZZR, and what is the Elise versus Rek'Sai match? Like, how does that change the jungle?
Yeah.
Elise typically wants to gank more. She has a lot more power in terms of how she can affect lanes. Obviously, you rock in, you got the cocoon. Or we could see a lane swap out of Snake, because the other thing that Elise does very well is she can rock up into a lane, use her W and get the attack speed steroid and really help push down these towers much more quickly and effectively. And I think the AD carry pick will kind of reveal Snake's hands on whether we're getting standard or a lane swap.
Well, at the moment, EDG playing around with a few different pick options. Mouse possibly considering that top lane Fizz once again. And EDG thinking about the Lucian medic combination with the Soraka possibly towards the bottom, and to see exactly what he is going to be locked in the end, as it's Braum one more time. And look, it's a powerful bottom lane. Braum, Lucian, pop those concussive blows very easily, blah, blah, blah. We've said this one before. And the Fizz has been locked in for Mouse towards the top side.
Or it could be Scout's champion. It's technically
Very
a flex.
True. Yeah.
Scout, known assassin player, obviously can do the control mage. It's his big gangplank in the Caspa Cup, but also a big Zed player.
So far has played Azir, Victor.
Victor.
Yeah. But actually not opting in picking out sort of a definite mid laner just yet, saving that for the counter pick. As Ella is currently hovering Alistar, meaning that Tank could potentially be playing the Karma. Don't know whether they're just playing with us for now. 10 seconds to go as Krystal looking at a Sivir. No Maokai on the board, so no vengeful Maelstrom to stop a lot of that damage. It's 1 second to go. Cute little mind game here from Snake. The Karma is going to be taken into the mid lane, or potentially the top lane. Who knows? Might be Cow mid. Who knows what's going to happen? All sorts of crazy things are possible.
Obviously, there's some flex here, but it's particularly between the Ekko and the Karma. I suspect that Tank will take Karma into the mid lane, although it is Flandre. But this is what's more important. So Scout then gets final rotation onto Azir. The fact that Azir got through the draft phase, and there's no pressure to prioritize Azir against Snake, because Tank has shown that he cannot play it to an acceptable and executable level to Snake's success.
Yeah. Definitely a good point. I like that Tank has stepped away from the champion, to be perfectly honest with you. But Scout had a great game number 1 against Newbee on the champion. And for his sort of first game in the LPL for EDG, playing against Dade in the mid lane, it's definitely a frightening thing. We'll see exactly how he goes against Tank this time. Mouse is going to be once again the Fizz in the top. This is the second time we've seen it, now against the Ekko of Flandre. ZZR back on his Elise.
Big thing to point out is that Krystal chose to secure Sivir. He did hover the Twitch. Obviously at MSI we saw that Twitch was kind of the answer and counter to Lucian. So what I was talking about is Snake will show their hand whether they want to engage in a lane swap with their AD carry pick, and I have a feeling we're about to see one.
Yeah, exactly right. Of course, Sivir and Alistar are not necessarily known for their early game power in the lane, especially not in comparison to a Lucian and a Braum. And of course, Ella has been one of those players that's able to help with these lane swaps very, very well. We'll see exactly what happens as we get into game number 2. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the riff for game number 2 between Snake and EDG. Snake now on our blue side, got the priority pick Ekko. We'll see whether they are going to be able to change their fortune this time, as EDG look to try and close out their first 2-0 here in the LPL in their second matchup.
Standard lane so far, as Krystal and Ella will be spotted out by Meiko and Deft.
Yep, door is going to be thrown. It's Krystal. Not going to quite be able to do enough damage here with the boomerang. Piercing light comes down. Ella not going to take too much there, as it's a lot of damage onto Deft with that mantra Q from Tank. Okay, so wards are going to go down. One of the handy things about Rek'Sai can clear out a ward if you've got Q very early on.
Important thing, though, is that Snake are not pulling the trigger on a lane swap. Ella and Krystal, never mind. As I say that, they're both backing.
There is a ward there in that brush as well. So I have a feeling that EDG know what's going on. They are actually moving that bottom lane towards the top side already.
So we will have a lane swap initiated, but it's going to be EDG into the top side, Snake into the bottom side. Snake are very good at playing this style of lane swap, especially in tandem with Elise. So watch how ZZR will speed up these creep waves, and if Snake can possibly get a bigger push going.
Well, you can see pings out from EDG. They know exactly what's going on here from Snake's bottom lane, but not going to be able to answer in time without giving up a whole bunch of creeps. So here's going to be Flandre just trying to pick up some towards the top side of the map. And EDG are going to give over at least for the first wave of this lane swap.
Typically, top laners get about 3 CS here. Flandre will pick it all up.
Yep, time winder. Pretty handy.
I like the fact that both duos committed to taking the Krug and the Gromp camp, the Krug camps.
Yeah.
Coming into this blind lane swap, and it now unlocks the supports to start roaming up and figuring out where enemy junglers are. Of course, the important thing in the lane swap is not necessarily the initial PvE, although clearlove.
Oh, he still managed to get it. That's lucky.
It's not the initial PvE, but of course the 4 to 5 steps that follow after the towers go down. But here's an adaptation. Deft and Meiko shoving the wave in initially and are actually going to respond bottom.
We actually saw this yesterday as well.
Teleport out, so TP advantage to EDG.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday as well. Hunting for standard lanes, as it was, I believe, OMG that decided to do it when they had the Jhin Thresh lane.
But this is massive. So Krystal and Alistar, or excuse me, Krystal and Ella are backing right now. We'll see where they go. Is it top?
Looks like it, yeah.
Because what's cool here is Ella and Krystal cannot play aggressively in the bot lane anymore. They can't do it. They can't overextend because it's just a numbers disadvantage should the TPs be pulled, because Flandre had to pull his in response to catch the wave top.
Yeah, Scout actually just going to take a trip here in the middle lane. No worries there at all. ZZR doesn't find anything, but as you were saying.
Which means that Snake now have an option. We either sit and we just try to passively and safely farm, sacrificing some CS because we can't extend as far in our lane, or we try to initiate the lane swap anyway and force EDG to make a counter response. So I like both adaptations from teams. Snake back on the right foot again after being kind of caught off with that TP.
Yeah, precisely. Flandre actually getting the better end of this deal as well. 10 CS above Mouse. It's being left to the Wolves just a little bit. ZZR coming in to help take down this turret towards the top side is definitely going to be a good thing, as clearlove moving frantically towards the bottom. And it is going to be Snake now with a turret lead for quite some time, because I highly doubt EDG are going to be able to take that one down as quickly. The minion wave is going to fall, as you can see.
And they have another minion wave coming in, so Snake can continue to push forward. This was an excellent adaptation, and this is what I was talking about. Snake do this so well. EDG threw a curveball to them, getting the TP advantage. Snake reacted perfectly, beautifully, and with the power of Elise and Sivir, are going to get so much more out of this. EDG caught with their pants down.
Cannon wave here as well, so this not going to be dying anytime soon. You can see the turret most certainly is, though. There's Mouse just here towards the bottom side. They had to maneuver Deft and Meiko back up to try and defend that inner turret, but they're not going to be able to. Cocoon goes wide. That is going to be a huge advantage here for Snake straight away, because that's 2 turrets to nothing. They still haven't got that out yet.
See how EDG responds should mean that all control on the top side has been given up, but we'll see how the waves bounce and who freezes where.
Yep. Tank, with the teleport advantage himself, is able to go back, grab himself a Catalyst, looking to build that new and improved Rod of Ages on the mid lane Karma. First time that we've seen her so far in the LPL. Interested to see what the build is going to be, like the Rod of Ages option.
It's just unfortunate that we're so early in the game, 5 minutes and 33 seconds, that Snake can't use their control over the top side of the map to initially and immediately transfer into Rift Herald, because it hasn't spawned yet.
But they might be able to move down towards the bottom side. You can see Krystal and Ella already pushing things up. We'll see whether they can utilize sort of this initial lead that they had of global gold in order to pressure something up. But you can see Deft Not really struggling as far as the items are concerned. And Tremorsense going to spot out this bottom lane from Snake moving there towards the bot side.
I think at this point, EDG are more so concerned with just neutralizing any forward advantage and forward momentum that Snake build off of this. Like you said, they've got Flandre down here, so trying to really pressure this tower. But again, Mouse still has his TP, so it can still be a response.
Speaking of teleport, Tank is going to make his way down here as well as Flandre's close distance onto clearlove. He's in trouble. That's going to be first blood going down to Flandre as meiko very, very unhealthy here. And the flash comes out from Ella, delivered to Scout, who just pushes him to the death chamber. That is going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but still working out very well for Snake as they're able to get some damage down onto this turret. Flandre has himself a shield from the Karma. Stun's going to come in. No, it's not from the parallel convergence as Death flashes out of the way. Flandre in trouble. Scout grabs another one as he flashes over the top. Tank taking some damage himself. Snake get themselves to safety, but it's a kill lead for EDG.
And in the end, Snake pushed their luck right there. Nice mechanical outplay from Deft to flash out of the parallel convergence and punish Flandre on his over-aggression, looking for that dive there. The difference, of course, is the double DP out of Snake, which means that Karma was able to get there before Scout, but great follow-up from this new mid laner for EDG.
Yeah, Scout really playing that one out beautifully, and we questioned, some of his positional decisions in the last game. Definitely not going to happen this time around. Looking brilliant. Low mana bars here for the AD carries, but Deft takes a boomerang, struggles just a little bit.
But what EDG managed to do there is that Snake had all of this forward momentum. They pulled the trigger on the aggressive play. They tried to force the TPs. They tried to force that tower down to continue this structure snowball. EDG managed to stop it, get a slight foot back in the door by trading 2-for-1 in the kills.
Yeah.
But more importantly, everything slowed down. The TPs are gone. It just goes back to standard laning, which means EDG's scaling comp has room to breathe again.
Thank goodness as well, as clearlove is going to make his way towards this Gromp. Full vision available here for Snake, though. Know that the jungler is towards the bottom side as Flandre once again in the top side. And this wave finally pushing back towards him. Mouse got himself some respite, but now it is going to be all about Flandre picking up that massive creep wave. Mouse actually looking to try and pressure ZZR out of here. Yeah, not going to be able to steal away the red. Nicely done by the new top laner from EDG.
Yeah, and I'm curious what kind of build he's going to fit into this Fizz. Typically, we've seen the return of the really tanky Fizz.
Yeah.
Prioritizing armor, MR, as well as CDR, because naturally CDR on Fizz will translate to pseudo-tankiness because you spend more time in the air off that playful trickster and less time taking damage.
Precisely. Well, you can see ZZR was eventually able to grab the red, but clearlove able to trade that one out. Steals away the Raptor camp as well. There's now Tank moving towards his blue buff, looking to get that one handed over to him. Scout probably going to claim his relatively soon as well. We'll see whether Cinderhulk can now be picked up from clearlove, who's 45 CS to 21 right now, and does have his jungle item fully completed.
And this is what we were talking about, the rise of Rek'Sai, where the adjustments to Cinderhulk doing more damage means that a faster clear time is available. So she's able to keep up with the likes of Nidalee and Kindred, and Elise kind of being that second tier in terms of clear speed to those is getting vastly outshadowed.
Yeah. Elise, of course, relies a lot on getting that runic echoes relatively early in order to help with that clear. The AoE invaluable for the Elise. Volatile Spiderling not quite enough in that department, but right now it doesn't even have it. Went for a Sightstone very, very early, so foregoing a lot of that ability to clear the jungle. Just to try and keep some extra control, which makes sense for what they were playing towards early on, but EDG have well and truly grabbed back hold of this game and have some standing gold on this map to claim at the same time. I mean, there's about 2,000 gold worth of turrets that are available here. As clearlove just smites that one out of the way, wants some Raptor sense.
More importantly, it's separating the fact that Scout managed to get the little one, so quite a big chunk of gold there, but still making sure that he's not hurting his jungler by leaving the big camp.
Yep, public service announcement here is, oh, actually, Tank's going to fall down here in the mid lane. Ella trying to save him in classic Ella style as Tank's running away. There's a concussive blows, though, as meiko doing some work. Scout gets some help from his support player, as now ZZR uses the repel to get himself away. EDG just grabbed themselves one. Really nicely played, especially from Scout with that swoop and scoop.
And again, full praises to Ella. This guy is just a monster. Arrives just in time to mirror and shadow Ella's gank and save Scout as well as sets up a kill beautifully for his team. He was the true difference there for EDG coming out on top and looking for more.
Oh, Krystal on the hunt has been popped here as EDG haven't taken down this turret just yet. Teleport comes in. That is going to be from Tank there as he turns up towards the bottom side. Slight man advantage now here as well, as EDG do make their way out.
Brilliant communication from EDG. They have the TP also available on Mouse. They say, no, we don't need it. You're fine. Get the free cooldown from Flandre.
Yeah. Flandre, of course, had already used it as well, so it's giving Scout a lot of time there in the mid lane. 105 to 87.
Tank's TP.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is big news for the Azir, who's still doing fine. Of course, Karma can be a very oppressive lane. So far, not looking so here for Scout, who's well and truly in his element. I mean, he looked very comfortable on the Azir in game number 1 yesterday. Still does here as he's trading with Tank very, very nicely, but nice mantra Q. He's going to answer back very well.
Needs to be careful, though, as ZZR is shadowing to the side. And this is kind of the other big question, although I have a feeling he's going to...
Oh, just really nice patient play here as well as he uses his shifting sands in order to get himself to safety. Just making sure that he's never at a position where he's overcommitted to any of these. But there's a headbutt pulverize onto Deft. Ella does need to be careful as Teleport's now going to be coming in. Meiko tanking up the turret. Ella is going to fall down. Deft grabs the last hit of it, and the fish is going to nom up the AD carry. Krystal, ain't nothing he can do when Mouse has the teleport advantage.
And that's the perfect example. In the very beginning of this game, that was the curveball that EDG threw at Snake, is that they got that TP advantage by playing the waves correctly, which forced Snake to then move on to Flandre's side of the map, simply because if you have the TP advantage, you cannot play on the bottom side of the map in today's meta.
I just think it's so beautiful watching EDG play out a game that was arguably like mismanaged in a macro sense early on just because of how well Snake had managed to utilize their lane swap.
It was one
and
of
then
these,
turned it all around.
Yeah, exactly. One of these rare instances where instead of having one team playing well and one team playing poorly, we actually had two really good plays from both teams. Snake just managed it better, but clearlove now catching out ZZR.
Yeah, nice cocoon comes in, stops Scout from making his way over, but that's called delaying the inevitable, ladies and gentlemen, and ZZR is going to fall. Sand Soldiers commanded to tear the spider apart. Which I understand, being an Australian.
Like you said, EDG are now just playing this portion of the game better and really starting to find their momentum. So Snake had a good first punch, but they don't have any follow-up so far.
A note to everyone at home, Froscarin did almost punch me, just for emphasis. As she was talking about the first punch.
Went right for the gut.
Damn right you did. But you can see EDG, they've got CS advantages where they need them. Scout's ahead. Deft is ahead. Now Snake trying to just group together and brute force down this inner turret. Not sure whether they're going to be able to get it. Azir moving over relatively late. But as soon as he enters Fog of War, Snake have to respect it.
And speaking of CS discrepancies, Snake also do have it on their all-star top laner. So 79 to 60, although EDG have done a fantastic job allocating resources and free farm into Mouse when applicable.
When applicable, yeah.
Wow, almost fumbled that word.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I'm getting sick.
You need to trust yourself. That's what you need to do.
I try not to.
So do I, don't worry. A little bit more dangerous over this side of the desk. ZZR, he's going to clear out a Krug camp. You were talking about Mouse. He's fallen behind about 30 CS now, but 102 will be helping him out here.
He's got waves continuously pushing into him, though. Like, Flandre has one wave that he's going to pick up, but Mouse will get two, as Meiko's caught out.
Yeah, and a whole host of trouble. He's being given up for dead here as well, as he decided not to try and stand behind Deft. Just knew that he was going to die. So, nice pick-off there from Snake. And look, you see the Karma come down. There's been so many of these support Karmas that don't do a lot of damage. And then Tank's like, yeah, no, I'm going to kill you. And he did.
Big difference is also Flandre, hold on, diving.
Yeah, nice dodge out of the way of the parallel convergence there as there's
survive.
The ultimate, the immediate answer there from Scout. Flashes out of the way of Ella there as well, who can't do anything. The Sand Soldier's in a brilliant position under the turret. Nice pickup from Mouse.
Flandre, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Way too aggressive on the dive, mismanages it. Now ZZR in trouble as Deft picks up a free 1v1 kill. So Snake just kind of losing their minds on multiple members across the map at the same time.
Yeah, caught with their pants down. And Deft, he killed Spiderlings with the culling and then said, well, I'll use the rest of my buttons to just kill you, ZZR. That's going to be absolutely fine. Cloud Drake is now just going to be freely gifted over to EDG. And Snake, what was, you know, a tightrope that they were relatively confidently walking earlier on is one that they've basically fallen off right now. They need to find their way in. I mean, they still have a hand on the rope and get themselves back up, but getting yourself back onto a tightrope when you're halfway through, that is tough.
The scary thing is how these compositions will shake out in the late game. Yes, Sivir is going to be able to do massive amounts of damage, but she's coming into her mid-game power trough, whereas Deft is really about to come online.
Well, they're trying to find Scout one more time. They are certainly going to do so here as it's a 1 versus 3. Didn't have the Emperor's Divide, decided not to use the heal, just knew that he was going to be dead.
Hand
in a turret.
back on the rope.
Yeah, exactly. We've got at least another arm up there. We'll see whether Krystal can get some good damage down onto this outer turret. ZZR is going to make his way in as well.
Here comes Deft and Meiko, though, for the flank.
Yeah, the back is coming in from Mouse as well. He's got teleport available, wants to use, doesn't have home guard because, of course, still 3 minutes away. The Snake can't break open that mid lane.
Still have a tower advantage to them, as well as complete control over the top side on that.
Yep, Meiko clearing out some minions here for Deft using that Relic Shield, and Mouse just going to make his way back towards the top side.
Okay, so now the question comes, as this game goes later and later, who actually has the compositional edge?
Yeah.
Still going to give it to EDG, despite Krystal's...
The Azir factor, is that what you're saying?
It's kind of the Azir factor versus the Beyblade arena of Sivir.
And the movement speed power of Sivir Karma as well, which has been very, very strong. Of course, yesterday it was more about who got to pick Sivir. Because honestly, she was a lot of what we were talking about in a lot of those games. It seems like within each group, there's this different meta that's been developing. And Sivir was a large part of it for Group B.
Again, the passive nerfs to movement speed means that Sivir and Karma, with the ability to augment their team around the map, makes them that much stronger than before. clearlove, careful, buddy.
He's just demonstrating why new Cinderhulk is so beautiful. It's because you are able to farm up to a lot of these items very early, and you're extraordinarily tanky, so you can just stand around being frustrating for extended periods of time.
And a big difference between Rek'Sai and Elise late game is Elise is going to become a pick bot.
Yep.
Whereas Rek'Sai is an actual frontline threat, as well as a backline threat.
Well, we'll see exactly whether it is going to be able to work. Of course, you know, depending on what builds you go for, Elise can be... You know, she can do a bit of damage. Ella is going to tank a culling. Half the health bar of the cow, of course, does have Unbreakable Will available, so going to be difficult to dive. Just sending a message on the side of the bottom lane of EDG.
It's getting better position on this mid lane. Ping going down for the tower. EDG are in full siege mode. They still don't have the Black Cleaver online for Deft, but confident enough in where Scout is on his Azir.
Yeah, nice block there of the Mantra Q by Meiko. Chunking out here on the side of EDG as Scout gets some good damage
Flandre
in. But yeah, really, really nice. Teleport comes in from Flandre. We'll see what he can actually get done. Deft, fantastic positioning now as Flandre just ults himself back towards the top side, and that's a way to disengage.
Yeah, Ekko relocation, puts himself back up there. Both TPs are burned, and Flandre will pick up an extra wave for his troubles.
Very cute, very cute. See whether it's actually going to be good enough in order to save this inner turret, though. It looks like the jungle going to be under fire from EDG. So clearlove going to grab himself some Krugs. And Deft looking for a red buff as that one just spawned.
EDG are still very keen around this mid tower, so Snake have to be very adamant and diligent about their back timers.
Yeah. Deft actually moving towards the bot lane now as well, just to clear out that minion wave.
And see, they did a good job here. As soon as Karma is back, making sure that Krystal's there. You know, it's my shift, clocking in.
Yep.
Rocking up to that mid lane, not getting it for free. And so EDG are just going to go ahead, allocate farm across every single lane appropriately. We're probably going to wait for this next dragon fight before things really start to explode again.
Yeah, I actually really like that out of this composition, out of Snake as well. The extra wave clear options that you do have. Tank, fantastic wave clear on the Karma if you can throw a couple of Qs at the wave. And of course, Sivir needs no introduction on the wave clear front, especially if she decides to go for a static shiv, which a lot of them have been doing. Of course, Phantom Dancer is there if you don't necessarily need the added clear or added instant clear.
I also just like it because of the instantaneous burst damage that Sivir can provide, just because she's going to stack up static shiv proc much faster than other AD carries.
Be on the hunt, of course. Well, you can see Flandre and Mouse just facing off. No teleports available. Krystal says thank you for the mana as clearlove throws him a Prey Seeker. But Scout, of course, on his own here in the mid lane, just not a care in the world. New mid laner for EDG, looking very comfortable. especially in this series after that first game. Victor looked very, very good. Relatively seamless addition to his EDG roster is Scout.
Everyone gets their back timers in as Dragon hits the 40-second window, and immediately clearlove pulls the trigger. They've got their pink wards. They're moving in, starting to set up pockets of true vision, as well as deny Snake's vision over this. So Sea of Snake, they have kind of two options for them right now. Apply pressure to the mid-tier tower.
Well, there's the culling that comes in. Oh, Fish narrowly misses Flandre. Does still have the ultimate available, but ZZR, he's in trouble underneath this turret. Deft stopping some backs. That is so important. Krystal, so much of the wave clear, and he couldn't stay around. clearlove as well, just stalking his prey.
There's so much dive potential here.
Yeah, they're actually still looking for it here as well, waiting for another minion wave to come down as Ella takes a little bit of poke
Way
from
too
the Sand
dangerous.
Soldiers. Yeah, in goes clearlove. Can he get the knock up in the right spot? Nice work from Ella just to stop the Rek'Sai from getting in there as Deft has to deal with Flandre. Parallel convergence doesn't quite get it as meiko utilizes the ultimate. Oh my goodness! The ignite not going to be enough for Flandre there. And EDG just move off to the Baron. They'll take the consolation prize.
So much patience out of EDG. You know, you're looking at that they're set up for the dive. You can see that they want it. They have the appropriate vision. They know who's moving over. But it's still diving the likes of Elise, Ekko, Karma, and Alistar. So instead, what do? They bait Snake off of the tower. And Flandre takes the bait, hard engages, doesn't lose his life for it. But Snake get forced off, which means a free Mountain Drake for EDG.
Yeah, that's going to augment their Cloud Drake there as well, and we'll see whether they're going to utilize this to siege down some more turrets even more effectively. Krystal does have the Static Shiv now completed, so 2 items for the Sivir. Probably wants the Infinity Edge before he feels super good about his life. But still looking great.
This is the fight they want, though.
Coming in from clearlove. Will they be able to take down the turret is the question, as Krystal already very, very low. Tank's going to get knocked up. That is a priority target, as there's a concussive blows. Brilliant Fish comes out of Mouse, flashes on top of Krystal, but he is still alive. meiko taking so much damage. Mouse right in amongst it. You can see these health bars. They are so damn low, as Ella, that Unbreakable Will is a bit more breakable than you'd otherwise expect. Throws out the ultimate to Scout. Not going to quite find anyone as Flandre just being the frustrating Ekko that he can be, and Snake bite back really nice in this fight. It's a 2 for 3.
Flandre again finding multiple members of EDG with his Ekko abilities in Game 1 and now in Game 2. Reactivates his ultimate, gets in the thick of it, and Scout completely whiffs the Emperor's Divide.
Yeah. Still able to clear out the minion wave, EDG. As Mouse and Deft in a good position for themselves. Mouse can go back to base, grab himself some extra health back, and then teleport in if he needs to, but there are multiple teleports available now from Flandre and Tank. And Deft actually does need to be careful here. Dangerous times, but Snake showing that there is still fight left in him.
Yeah, looking much better. Kind of curious that they had to shift Tank over from a carry role to more of a secondary support role, sitting 0, 1, and 6 respectively on this Karma pick for the mid lane. And it's really been the story of Flandre and Ella working together to kind of put Snake back in this, moving very well around the map. Yes, Flandre still kind of...
Oh, Krystal, that is double piercing lights coming in. He won't be able to help clear out this minion wave. clearlove is actually going to get stunned up. Headbutt Pulverize comes in as Ella doesn't have the ult. Brilliant Glacial Fissure. meiko continues to impress as EDG grabbed the turret as well.
And EDG are doing this without diving. Yes, they took a couple of turret shots on the back end of that, but it's constantly baiting Snake off of their own tower and fighting just out of tower aggro range. They've done this 3 different times now and have been successful every time. Respecting Snake's comp, but showing that they are the more matured, more experienced LPL team in these small decisions.
Yeah, taking fights that they know...
Taking fights where they're most advantageous.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing that if they are going to, you know, lose out the trade in the fight, like 2 for 3, like what happened last time, nothing's going to come of it. Because Deft stayed safe enough to clear out the minion wave afterwards. They're taking fights that they know they're going to be in control of, no matter what the outcome. This Tank looking to pick up this minion wave here. Deft grabs himself a red buff. Black Cleaver now done. Zeal picked up as well. See what Zeal item he goes for. It has been sort of the general option, Rapid Fire Cannon. I do like Phantom Dancer. Make yourself like that skirmish battle Lucian.
Rapid Fire Cannon does work very well with Lucian, though, by throwing out the W, getting that increased range following.
Means that you can throw out that Ardent Blaze, hit someone, get an easy auto attack with a double tap, and then close gap with the extra movement speed. Like it.
just works really well with Lucian's overall combo, although if you take the Phantom Dancer, obviously you get more, you recoup some of those stats that you lose by going the Black Cleaver Ghostblade in terms of your late game damage potential.
Yeah, like it. As well as the fact that, you know, you're even more able to skirt around effectively, given the sort of unique passive of the Phantom Dancer.
And that just kind of speaks to where Lucian and why he's so strong right now. So much flexibility in his build path, so much flexibility in going into a lane swap, being able to siege tower so effectively with double tap passive, as well as sitting in a standard 2v2 and just dominating people because you're a fantastic duelist.
This is so cute out of EDG. ZZR is going to check the pit. They know that the Baron is falling down, but clearlove, of course, you can see, able to tank for quite some time, only down to half health now as well, and has a lot of rage to eat up. Krystal's hit a good point, though, as far as clearing out minion waves is concerned, able to do it very, very quickly. And Tank may need to be a bit careful, but is going to, and is going to be okay. Sun turret falls. Do not be perturbed. As now Scout takes a boomerang. Might need to be a little bit careful, but of course does still have the shifting sands if he needs to reposition. Mouse heading back to base. We'll see whether EDG are actually looking for a fight.
The easiest objective for EDG on the map is that top tower, but they really want to make a pick and transfer into Baron. They've got a lot of their vision set up, so allocating their gold there, and they have a small window of opportunity to play to the side of the map before the next dragon.
Yeah. Well, Tank is able to clear out this minion wave very, very well. Lots of defensive vision from Tank. Sorry, from Snake, just in general. And the AD carries are going to meet each other. Krystal says, no, I don't want anything to do.
It's no surprise that Snake have been able to ward off EDG as effectively, simply because they have...
what you did there.
Simply because they have Krystal on Sivir and Tank on Karma. The combined movement speed and wave clear potential of these two champions is what's stopping EDG's momentum. They're able to skirt underneath their ward line and just bounce back in between top and mid safely and effectively.
And Flandre as well, easily capable of splitting against Mouse at the same time.
This changes now that EDG have the dragon upcoming and Snake have to play to a blind side of the map. Again, they know that they're behind.
Yeah.
Things need to line up perfectly. Actually, you know, let's compare if they're actually behind. Checking items. Still don't have the Infinity Edge online for Sivir, so she's still technically in a power trough.
Ekko's looking pretty strong right now, though. Almost has 3 items, but Mouse is ahead in that regard, has actually completed the Spirit Visage.
I think it's fair to say that it's easier for EDG to win a fight than it is for Snake. How about that? That'll be fair. Which is why they're not going to go ahead and contest on this dragon at all.
Yeah.
Will be another Mountain Dragon. Excuse me, their first Mountain Dragon. I think their other one is Cloud.
Second.
Oh, yep,
so
2 mountains, 1 cloud.
2 mountain and a cloud. We'll be able to grab a second cloud as well. As Deft going super aggressive into Tank. There's the culling. Half the health bar of Tank, but that Rod of Ages helping him out, keeping him alive. And there's multiple flashes as Deft takes a Q. But nothing to really come from it there. ZZR was looking for something. It was an immediate flash of Deft in response. So, Elise flash for Lucian flash. Feeling pretty good if you're Snake right now.
Does have the CDR build, though, which immediately translates into safety for Lucian, just because he gets more relentless pursuits.
Yeah.
And now with the trap.
Well, done it.
I think this is pretty optimistic from EDG.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of reason for Snake to walk in there. There's no red buff.
No
the
dragon.
Wave on bottom is very far forward. Like you said, dragon is gone. There's the red buff.
Well, you can see Tank and ZZR are hanging around. Volatile Spiderling comes in. Nice tag with the Winter's Bite. clearlove dodges out of the way of the Mantra Q. Tank now taking some damage from Deft. They want to be able to take down this red buff. Scout's making his way in there as well. Teleport comes in from EDG. They're looking for this as Scout has to fight Flandre. clearlove waiting for a tunnel, gets one. They have regrouped both sides of the map. As Snake now actually looking to go aggressive as EDG move towards the Baron Pit.
Got their prize. Got what they came for.
I didn't actually see who got the red buff there at all.
I think it's clearlove. Yep.
Ah, there it is.
Sivir now has Infinity Edge, so Krystal is very powerful right now, which is why they're so keen to fight. Fish misses.
Mouse is trying to get something done, but unfortunately already down to half health. The exhaust goes down on the Fizz as Scout already here. Lots of auto attack damage from those Sand Soldiers, but same can be said from Krystal and his boomerangs. clearlove takes a fair bit, but he's pretty tanky. He's going to be okay for now. And this game feels on a knife edge in these team fighting phases, given the strength of Krystal now with that Infinity Edge built up.
EDG still, though, being very respectful.
Yeah.
Disengaging very well. Unfortunately, Mouse's fish did not connect.
You still have to look at deft and say 4-0 for Lucian. Still very, very strong. And kudos to Mouse. I mean, the guy has a very strong Fizz at this point in time.
He's done a good job getting his fish on the appropriate targets, or at least zoning effectively with it. So playing a very different role this time around than his normal kind of peeling secondary support top laner role, truly being that backline dive threat that you would expect out of a Fizz top.
Well, Flandre going to make his way towards the mid lane. You can see vision well and truly regained by EDG around Baron. Not going for any sneaky back of the pit plays for now. But Mouse is lurking.
And they have so much potential to do it because every single one of those champions has an ability to get over a wall.
Speaking of abilities, doing Flandre right in amongst it. Has to use the ultimate to get out. This could be the go time for EDG as deft did get chunked.
2 ultimates, though, burn to reset Snake's positioning there. Both the On the Hunt as well as the, what is it called? Ekko ult.
Yeah. So the Chrono Break was actually used to get Flandre out of dodge.
And that's the go button there for
Double
EDG.
Mount Drake. Look at how much damage is being done to this Baron. It is dead. They've managed to grab it. clearlove picks that one up. Tank. You can see lots of shields coming in here, but ZZR out of position. Deft picks it up. And EDG are just launching their way through. They found their window, and they utilized it perfectly.
And Snake play carelessly around Fog of War are immediately punished. And like you said, EDG, they understand these tiny little windows of opportunity where they can just, you give them an inch and they take the mile.
Yeah. It's like give them a finger and they'll take your body. Because we're seeing Deft and Flandre on your screens right now. Some concern in Flandre's face. And I'd be concerned as well after that Chrono Break had to be used. It's a big ability for his safety whilst diving the backline.
And this is really the difference on why we see where Snake really matches up in terms of the top LPL teams, why they've just been locked out of there. They're just not as punishing when you give them small mistakes. They started this game so strong, were able to adapt very well to EDG, got an early tower lead, but lost a lot of their momentum with kind of their over-eagerness in these dives. And you have to look at Flandre. He's such an asset to this team, you know, the all-star top laner, but he also costs them so much in these tiny little interactions. And against the likes of EDG, that's all it takes is small mistakes.
Yeah, it's precisely right. And it just feels like often, no matter who Snake are playing against, they're being dictated to. They're playing somebody else's style. They're a very reactive team. And this time, EDG, I mean, it's them that's driving everything in this series so far. Be it game 1 or 2. You can see the F-Sword and a Vamp Scepter now picked up from Deft, going towards the Bloodthirster. I love this adaptation to the build. Get himself some lifesteal. The Lucians at MSI may be infinitely upset because none of them were building lifesteal. Important statistic for staying in these fights, especially when there's an Ekko running around trying to ruin your day. Mouse being frustrating here towards the top side, getting that split push on as Piercing Light once again going to hit Krystal, blows the ultimate again. And this is a big deal.
Although you're still dealing across from a lot of wave clear that Snake have available. Again, EDG, they've been so clinical and controlled, very safe.
Whoa.
Not looking for risky dives, holding their cannon creep lines and just slowly chipping away at Snake.
Yeah. Elder Drake going to be coming up as our 5th dragon.
So 2 clouds, 2 mountains.
Yeah. Only 2 different dragons to be seen.
And if they secure the Elder Drake, this team is full go for OGN rotations.
Oh, yeah. They'll be able to kill the turrets very quickly and get to the turrets very quickly, I believe is what you meant.
Yep.
Stunning.
Thanks for decoding that.
Yeah, no, I've got my decoder ring on. I'm ready. Don't you worry. Form of an Ice Menorah. Snake now just trying to consolidate vision where they can. Defensively, we'll see whether they can hold on. Of course, haven't had the base broken yet. What you said about wave clear is most certainly true. But it's only a matter of time. My god. Okay, Scout's got Void Staff and Rabbidan's Death Cap now as well. No further defensive options after the health that was given to him from the Ryze Crystal Scepter. And this guy, if he goes in and scoops someone, I think they're just dead.
It's going to hit them pretty hard, though.
Yeah, speaking of being hit hard, there's the flash forward. Deft is going to double tap tank to death. That is going to be the inner turret falling down immediately as well. EDG, can they get more? Because that is a lot of utility now gone from Snake. In they go. Nice stun to come down, but look at the Emperor's Divide. Krystal able to take down one. Deft is dead. It's a double kill. My God, he's huge. Triple kill for Krystal. And I thought the Emperor's Divide was going to be enough, but it doesn't matter when the Sivir is this huge.
Immediate backline crits right there. The fact that Flandre and Krystal got on top of not just Deft, but also Scout. Deft was immediately popped, had 0 time to react. And this will be an answer and response from Snake as they march it back up mid lane.
Yeah, big pings come into the mid lane here as well. We'll see whether they can actually break open the base. They're running out of creeps here, though. The wave struggling to make its way in, and it's got a lot of tenacity, this inner turret.
Reminder that backdoor towers are stronger than they used to be.
Whole lot stronger as well, as clearlove wants to try and defend this one, but you can see Krystal able to tear through this one with the help of the minions. Base broken of EDG. Snake finding their way back in. I have a feeling they're not going to be underestimating Krystal anymore, as I believe that was a spell shield on the Emperor's Divide as well, which is how he made that one work, as Fish lands onto Flandre, possibly not the optimal target right now, as Randuin's Omen does go off to try and slow him down. Deft finds his way back into the fight. Ella slowed down at the same time. Unbreakable Will's there, but like we've said so many times, it is in fact quite breakable. As Mouse flashes forward, doesn't find the Ocean Strike, but there it is. clearlove right into the backline, gets the knock up onto Krystal. He still has a lot of damage as the tanks are being torn apart. Meiko as well getting critted by this Sivir, not giving him as much room to move this time. And there are low health bars on EDG. We'll see what they can get with one man down, but that's the inhibitor gone. Snake get what they need.
Still down in gold, but it's starting to mean less this late in the game. Again, that's going to be 4 towers to EDG over the course of their Baron. Excuse me, 3 towers? Yes, the mid one and 2 top lanes. But Snake able to get that mid inhib means that they have a lot of pressure and a lot more breathing room in this game. Baron back up, 1 minute 20 seconds. See if Snake can play around their double TP advantage, which both of them are up, as well as their mid lane super creep advantage to try to secure this objective.
Well, EDG need to put those thinking caps back on again. They have been playing fantastic Cerebral League of Legends so far, but that was one misplay as Krystal was able to punish them for disrespecting the Sivir and her ability to kill about 6 people at once with one W-empowered auto attack.
It was really about where the misplay was timed, that it's so late in the game that the death timers were so punishing to them.
Yeah.
Can expect that EDG won't let their carries be jumped on lightly again.
Precisely. Well, Deft, he is heading back to base. We'll see whether he can complete the Guardian Angel, which it looks like he's trying to get, and he has. So a lot of extra survivability here for the Lucian. Not going to be popped anymore in these fights.
Flandre is just such an interesting player. The fact that he swings so catastrophically between amazingness and just completely throwing the game for his team.
Well, he's just a man that makes aggressive decisions, right? And it's either going to work or it's not. And when it doesn't, it looks ridiculous. And when it does, it looks ridiculous.
The full embodiment of Macnoon.
Exactly. Love it. But EDG, there is a ward in this Baron pit. But look, double Mountain Drake, it's just...
Here comes
one
Flandre.
auto attack's doing 1/3 of the health of the Baron. That is stupid. EDG will have to fight for this one, though, as Ella getting taken down so low. Scout picks up the kill immediately as Flandre is over the wall. Deft has to deal with him, but he's got a Guardian Angel. He's so safe. Flandre is going to dash his way back over. Nice fish. Krystal's dead. That's the big pickup there for Scout as EDG are tearing through this team fight. Flandre doing the best that he can, but it's a triple kill for the Azir. Can he make it a quadra? As it's actually going to be the full house as Deft picks up the second one. Really nicely played from EDG around the Baron, and they'll just finish this one off here.
And that's huge props to EDG's new top laner, Mouse, right there. Coming up huge, getting to that backline threat, finding Krystal with the fish, and pushing Sivir out of that fight. She was doing no AoE damage.
That was completely ridiculous. Emperor's Divide is going to come out here from Scout as well as they just push down these Nexus turrets. Double Mountain Drake is so powerful. You don't even need to worry about having minions around. They are going to take down the Nexus. It's a 2-0 victory for EDG over Snake. And look, Snake looked a lot better in game number 2. I mean, that was a good, I guess, series of play towards the end there from Krystal, but EDG, so strong.
Okay, yeah, that's the perfect place to start. Let's start with EDG. First and foremost, Mouse. We didn't know where he was really going to be tested. The first game that they had, he's facing across from V, who's also kind of a tank player or role player, was punished a little bit, but we're like, okay, is this going to cause problems? Will he be able to stack up in a 1v1? Faces across from Flandre, does beautifully. That last team fight really stepped up on the Fizz, and starts to show that he can play more of that carry-oriented back dive potential, and he's not just a secondary support.
Yeah, and you actually just saw the players shaking hands there. Big smile and hug from meiko between him and Flandre. They take a bow, well-deserved here as well for EDG. Phenomenal play from them. Love how the solo lane is looking. Like you mentioned, Mouse. The guy built a Magize at the end, so got some swagger in his step at the same time for Oscarin.
I'm just very excited that I feel like we got at least one game, game 2 in particular, good games out of both teams.
Yeah.
Again, I really dislike situations where it's one team that's performing very well and kind of one team that's just fell off.
Yeah.
Early game was played exceptionally by Snake. Again, it's just these tiny little mistakes that EDG are just able to punish, but you expect this as being an elite team in the LPL. And the real shame is that we don't get to see this team across from the likes of Team WE or RNG until cross-conference.
Yeah, exactly right. But it is going to make the cross-conference incredibly special. Of course, if we are going to have a brief recap on exactly how it works, Group A and B play each other twice within the group, and then cross-conference is only once, and that's going to be happening at the middle of the split.
But back to Snake, and kind of props to them this time around. You are correct that they played much better in this series than they did against their Game Talent series. Huge props to Tank, you know, adjusting his champion pool. Again, issues that you can't look towards the Azir, that you almost don't even need to ban it against Snake, and so that opens up a lot more punishment and a lot more targeted bans to Snake from any team across them. But, you know, pulled out the Karma, did really well to help push his team around. Krystal and Flandre stepping up back into their carry roles, and it's always nice to see Ella rejoin the roster.
Oh, I'm so happy that Ella came back, and I have a feeling, you know, that was one of the reasons why they looked a little bit better in game number 2. I just want to say that it's Ella because I've always really loved his play, his sort of disengaged play and engaged play that he managed to find as well. The fact that he plays Alistar a little bit differently to other supports as well, often able to use it more as a peeling tool rather than a diving, engaging tool.
And again, we don't know the intricacies of any of the shot calling that goes on in Snake, so we don't know if Ella plays a big role or a small role in any of that. But they did look a bit more comfortable. Obviously, Ella unlocks himself a bit more. Jay-Z, good support formerly of Energy Pacemaker, who are now known as Game Talents. He's a big hard engage style support, likes to make those plays, but Ella is just so well-rounded. So I'm curious to see how the team continues to develop with both of these talents in the bot lane, particularly alongside Krystal, who's really coming back into his own of being that really aggressive carry that the team needs. And again, if Snake are playing only to the ceiling of tank, and if he can step up into a secondary support role and continue to empower an AD carry, it's just more threats for them.
Yeah, really beautiful to see here as well out of sort of Snake in some aspects of their play. What they need to do is just be a little bit more consistent, in my opinion, because they have shown these sort of glimpses of brilliance. Like that lane swap at the beginning executed so nicely. I mean, EDG tried to throw
a full tower advantage.
Yeah, tried to throw a curveball at them, and they picked it up and said, all right, this is looking good. We'll take that from you, and we'll move it into the extra tower that we'll be able to grab. 2 towers to 0 at the very beginning, and I thought, you know, this could actually bridge that sort of Sivir Alistar problem that they may have had in the early game, but unfortunately just wasn't quite enough based on the fact that EDG just played so beautifully in a reactive fashion on a macro level.
Yeah, and especially in that mid game. Again, it's these small choices where EDG, you can see that they really want to dive. Because you have to think the outer top tier tower stood for so long. EDG could have very easily rotated up there. It's a very easy objective to take down. It's going to be weaker than the second tier mid tower. You can get behind it much easier, far safer. But they're like, no, we're tunneling on this mid tower, and I bet we can get Snake to step off of it. And constantly, you saw the threat of the dive go in. clearlove even at one point getting right behind it and then tunnels out, and Flandre just takes the bait, bites off just slightly out of tower aggro, and is immediately punished. So EDG just showing that they are the veterans of the LPL, and that's how they won this game.
Yeah, one thing that I really love as well is if we have a look at this whole series, EDG played 2 very different comps. I mean, clearlove on the Kindred, then on the Rek'Sai. The style is completely different. And there's the fact that, you know, you've got the Ashe play into the Lucian play. Ashe sort of wants to stand back, utilize like a lot of range there as well, but with the Lucian want to be up in their face. And speaking of which, that is going to be the man that's going to pick up the MVP. I actually thought he might have grabbed it for game number 1, but definitely well deserving here. 8-1 and 6, 74% kill participation, and 36% damage share is nothing to scoff at.
And again, it's just highlighting EDG's bot lane. No surprise that they're 2-0 over Snake. First game, it's MVP to meiko. Second game, it's MVP to deft. You see this in their kill participation. EDG are all about their bot lane. Traded out their solo laners, and Scout and Mouse are doing a great job keeping up with those talents.
Yeah, they most certainly are, and got to see the crowd there just for a little bit, but I'm just really excited to see what more we have from this bottom lane out of EDG, because that is an Ashe game that we've seen. That's the first time that we've seen Lucian out of him. The only champions that he's played multiple times is Caitlyn, and it's not necessarily one that Deft had been playing a lot prior as well, so it looks like he's got a lot more under his sleeve. Deft has always been very flexible. I want the Jinx back, Froscar, and that's what I want.
I mean, Jinx was adjusted in 6.10 with her attack speed between her switcheroo on the Q and the rocket launcher. But yeah, you're correct. We've seen Caitlyn, Ashe, Lucian, and Kalista. And I had a question mark about Kalista and where she fit in the current meta. It makes sense that Kalista should be coming back, although we haven't seen a lot of her just because Sivir is also coming back, again, with the movement speed. But Kalista is going to offer so much objective and monster control when you already have 2 mountain dragons running around. Yeah. We saw the Baron damage. Can you imagine then having a Kalista Kindred composition on top of that? How quickly you would shred through those objectives. Again, vision changes. Kalista has vision on her kit with her W. Yeah. And then likewise, kite changes. We see a lot of kiting comps because, again, the adjustments and changes to movement speed, Kalista is one of the only AD carries alongside Ezreal that does damage while kiting backwards due to her martial pose. So I think Kalista is actually a bit underrated right now, but there are certainly answers to it because Maokai is so potent and powerful in the meta. Yeah, and one of the things that I really like about Kalista as well, I mean, she was changed, so you have to be around your support a little bit more, but what it does is it empowers your support. We've got so many supports in the LPL that are so pivotal to their teams. I mean, you're looking at players like meiko, players like Marta. We saw Road yesterday. That guy was ridiculous. His Bard and Tahm Kench looked fantastic. Imagine them with added tools in their arsenal to try and start off these fights, I mean, be a little bit more aggressive because they have the added safety. I mean, that's terrifying, especially in the LPL. Newbee got a first-hand look at that when Deft and meiko pulled out their Alistar Kalista combo, and just some sick mechanical outplays that they were able to pull off with the Fates call. But huge props to EDG. There was a very clean game over Snake. More importantly, even though Snake didn't win here, they looked much better than they did in their first set against Game Talents. Yeah. So despite starting their LPL week off going 0-2 in their sets, still an upward trend, and that only means good things for that roster. Yeah, and the thing that's actually really difficult about this as well for Snake is the fact that they have to come off this disappointing loss against Game Talents, a game that they were probably expecting to win, and then had to go straight up against EDG, arguably the most difficult team to beat in their group. I mean, that's just bad luck, to be perfectly honest, is the fact that they now just have this slump in momentum. We'll see whether Snake can actually do what is quite difficult here and turn that momentum around, pick up some victories moving forward, because they do have easier games down the line, and they can't let this get to them, because momentum's a big deal when we're talking about it, and if you're going to get sort of this negative time out of the way, get it out of the way early so that moving into playoffs, you're not going to be feeling it, because Snake have often sort of moved into this sort of negative situation towards the playoffs. I mean, the question now comes, can Snake manage to scrape into top 4 so they can make a playoff run again? We will see Saint later on today as they'll face across from Invictus Gaming, so kind of a big question mark on them. And